Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, and today I am doing a Bukkit coding tutorial on reading values from the config file, or a config file for that matter. Now what you want to do is, we're just going to be using one class today. You can either make your own config instance or variable by doing file, or I believe YAML configuration, config equals, and then get config. So actually no, that'd be yeah, a file configuration, not a YAML. My bad. So file configuration. So you could do it like that, but that's lame. So we're just gonna use get config. So basically we're going to have our config.yml, and we're going to say int equals 1, and then we're going to say something like string equals test, or string equals string, and then we could say boolean is false. So we knew that. That's our basic config file. Now on enable we want to say save default config. We'll just fire that, and now that we have that, we can go ahead and use the values. So we can say get config. We're gonna say the int is, and then plus get config dot, and then get this. So then, since we don't have a path to it, we can just directly, since there isn't a path, like it's not something like this, and then right here just like that would be a path. It's just it's directly inside of the files. We don't need to access anything like int dot value or something, or int dot size. We don't need that. We can just do int. So directly do that, and then do this, put a comma, and say the string is plus, and then get config dot get, and then we can say string. Now you could be doing get string and get int. Does the same thing, but you should probably use get and then the value type. And now what we're gonna do, and we're gonna say and the boolean is plus get config dot get boolean, and there we go. So we've already basically finished this tutorial, and you can use all sorts of stuff with the config files. I'll make a quick example of how you can do that with item stacks and a few other things. But you can see right here on enable, all we have to do is put save default config. That's all you have to do, and then make your basic command that gets the configuration file and then gets values from it. Fairly simple. But now what we can do is we can say p dot get inventory dot add item new item stack. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna say get config dot get item stack. So this is gonna be a little bit funky. So you can see, obviously it doesn't work. So we're gonna have to say new item stack, and then we're going to say material dot match, or material dot match material for get config dot get string, and then item stack. Boom. So now it's gonna say, okay, we're gonna put in their inventory a new item stack that has, and then we're gonna say, okay, we want to find the material, or the material that matches this string. So now we can go in here and say item stack equals, and then dirt or something. And now you don't have to do that. You can just do dirt or anything like that. Now you have to make sure it's the material value. If you want a list of these, we'll set this to dirt for now. If you want a list, just go ahead and do material dot, and then any of these. So you can see gunpowder isn't a thing. You have to use sulfur as a value for that. I'm not sure why it's sulfur, but it is. So yeah, we're just gonna make it dirt, or like maybe we'll just capitalize it, keep it safe. And to confirm this is an actual material, boom, dirt. So it works. It should work. Shouldn't be any issues. And that's how I am actually making a plugin that will create a simple shop system like last episode. That'll make a really easy shop system that runs off of the config file, and it gets values from the config for like prices, for items, and it's gonna be really cool. Probably have a video on that when I finish, probably pretty soon. It's a fairly basic plugin. So now we have all that, then we could do something like this. So we can say, after we do all that, we can say, or no, before, after we define this, we can go into here and say, if args.length equals 0, or does not equal 0, then we can go ahead and check if a 0, so that's an args 0, dot equals int. So obviously the length does not equal to 1. So now we're gonna say, okay, if args0 is int, then we're gonna say if args1 does not equal null. So if it's not null, and so we're gonna check for and we're just gonna say args0 instance of an integer. And I don't think we can. No, we don't really have to do that. We'll just do that here. Then we're gonna say integer dot parse in a or args1, and then we're going to say int temp equals, and then that, and then we can say get config dot set integer or int to temp. And you don't have to do set int or anything. It automatically finds out what you are trying to set, just because it's cool like that. And then you want to just call save config, and well, then basically we can just set the int. So then after we set the int, then it'll say it directly after that. So now we have all this set up. We have our save default config. Now all we have to do is add our plugin.yml file. Let's actually go ahead and move the config YML to the, oh, never mind. Thought it was in the source folder. Alright, so let's go ahead and make our plugin.yml. Go ahead and call it name. So we're going to say episode 12. Pretty basic. It's just the packages and just all the plugin.yml stuff. You guys know how it goes. So now let's go ahead and do episode 12. And version, we're just going to say 1.0. And now we're going to put commands, 2 spaces forward, episode 12, and then 2 spaces forward, description, description, and then episode 12 base command. Alright, now that we have that set up, make sure you have your IntelliJ build artifact set up, and go ahead and build your thing. And now I'm going to see you guys all on the test server. Now the argument thing, probably checking if args1 is null. I don't know if that'll work. But you know, it's worth a try. So I'll be right back when I get on the server. Alright everyone, so just go ahead and make sure your config file generated here. If it did not, you probably didn't call save default config, but that's not too big of an issue. Just make sure you have save default config, or that config file appeared in your episode 12 folder. And if there is no episode 12 folder, well, then you probably have to do save default config anyways. So as you can see, we're running world edit, which is just because I have world edit on the server, and episode 12. So now we can go ahead and type in episode 12, and you can see the int is 1, the string is string, and the boolean is false, and it gave us a dirt. So now if we were to do this and we want to say item stack, we're going to set that as diamond. We're going to set the boolean to true. We're going to set this as this is a string, and we're going to set the int to 9001. Or yeah, so go ahead and save that. And now type in /reload. Oh, not like that. Oh, there we go. And now we can actually just throw the diamond out really quick. Now we type in episode 12. You can see the int is 9001. The string is this is a string, and the boolean is true, and it gives us a diamond. So now we can continuously use this command, and it'll read data out of the config file. And boom, so we have 10 diamonds now. Let's actually check these over here with the other diamonds. And now what we can do is we can say, okay, let's test our other thing, and this is probably not going to work, but you know, worth a try. So we set it up to say int as the second thing. So we didn't actually check for anything else. It looks like, yeah, we didn't check if there was anything after int. Now let's say 5. Boom. So now it says the int is 5, and the string is this is a string, and the boolean is true. So now, oops, let's go ahead, and you can see in the config file the integer is actually 5. So now if we go ahead and do this again, we can set it to something like 69. Now if we open it up again, the int is actually 69. So now, of course, there's going to be that internal exception if we don't have an args1. So yeah, if there is no args1, this won't work. But let's copy this down 3 more times and say item stack. And now we can just change this up. We're going to say string temp equals args0. And that'll do that right away. Boolean this might need some parsing on it. And say boolean temp equals args0. Probably gonna need some parsing. Yeah, it will. So now just type in boolean dot get boolean or parse boolean or value up. We can do any of it. Args0 and then int. Or no, this shouldn't be int. This should be string. And actually, yeah. So string and item stack are going to be the same. That's just how it works. Now let's actually go down here, change this to that, and this to that. Let's go ahead and rebuild our plugin here. And now we're going to grab our folder that it creates a plugin in. Go back here and make sure we have this. It's almost done building. The file sizes are kind of big with IntelliJ. I'm not sure why. I'll have to look into that. But now we go and replace that. And now we can type in /reload. Now we can say string test. Now it'll only take the first argument, of course. Now it actually looks like didn't work for some reason. What if we capitalize it? Yeah, string isn't working. That's a little odd. But if we say boolean false, yeah, you can see we can now toggle the boolean within the game. For some reason, setting it to that won't work. But now we say item stack. Yeah, item stack. We're gonna say dirt, and now you can see it doesn't like us anymore. Yeah, you guys get the idea. We can actually just set this as like diamond or something. No idea why it actually won't work. We can actually check item stack. We're trying to set it to item stack. 10 equals args1. Oh, that's why we're checking. We're trying to check for args1. That's why none of this would work. Oh, silly mistake on my part. Let's actually fix that really quick. And it's kind of expanded this episode a little bit, which is nice. Didn't want to make it too short for you guys. So instead of actually, what the mistake was is instead of instead of using our actual value that we set, it was using the first argument instead of the second. And the second, or that argument, was item stack. So now, if we type in a reload, now type this in, you can see we can actually change this now. Say string is test, boom. We can now modify this at will and set item stack to something like, let's see here. We'll say, what's the material here? Golden _ apple. So it's probably, /episode 12. Then we can say something like item stack for golden underscore apple. Yeah, you can see it now. It gives us a gapple. Oh, isn't that wonderful? We actually don't need to do it. We can just type in episode 12 and spam that. And then for Boolean, let's just make sure this works. Boolean, we're going to say true. Yep, it's true. And false, it's false. There we go. So that has been our tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I did. And I will see you guys all again in the next video. Make sure to comment down below what you want to see next for the next tutorial video. And someone suggested crates. I forgot who it was. I'll have to go look back. But I apologize for not having done your tutorial yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in quite the way that you want. But I'll look into doing it in a way. I'm not sure if it'll probably not be exactly what you want, but it'll still be a crate tutorial. But yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys all again next time. Take care.